The button has been pressed. Hello. And no haters this time. Hello, happy people. So you heard it right. Since I started my YouTube channel, a few people have asked me, why do you call your audiences haters? And I thought about it, and originally, hello haters. First of all, yeah, it sounded kind of funny. And second of all, YouTube channel was something I always wanted to do, but it was a very vulnerable thing for me to start, because you put a lot of yourself out there, a lot of your thoughts, talks with people, and of course, sometimes there is hate that comes from that. But I think wording for me is very important. I'm a journalist, hey guys. So I try to put some meaning to it. And in the end of the day, I want my channel to be a happy place where people get good emotions from. This is why I'm changing it. I would still keep saying the button has been pressed because I like it. And now I would just call you happy people. And I hope it comes true for many of you. Maybe it's a coincidence. Today's vlog would actually be connected somewhat to the subject of hate. But not only. I want to talk about famous Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. What she has done for the society as a climate activist, and why so many people hate Greta. Do you remember yourself when you were 16 years old, and what did you do with your life? I was studying in the US, but was I changing the world? I'm not sure. And imagine Greta Thunberg, at 16 years old, was sitting outside of Swedish parliament with the sign against climate change. She was there all by herself. It was so important for her, and she was so brave that she just wanted to make a point. Now she is the spokesperson for the whole generation when it comes to the climate change, and I think it's big. It's year 2020, and now Greta manages to gather all the people around the world. I was personally in Lausanne in Switzerland, and there were thousands of people that I witnessed that came to support the cause. In 2019, Time magazine named Greta Person of the Year. I remember I read this article not so long ago, and it was touching because it tells her whole story. So if you haven't read it, I really recommend it. When she was 11 years old, she was so touched by the world's problems that, she stopped eating, she stopped talking. She was really, really depressed because a young child realized what kind of problems the world is facing better than some of the adults. She does have an Asperger's syndrome, and in terms of what I read about Asperger's syndrome, it actually helps a person concentrate on a certain issue. So people who have been calling her a bad actress, I don't know, I wouldn't repeat those words. Actually, a person with a syndrome like that, I'm not sure she can act. Very often young people being criticized. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with your parents or maybe your grandparents saying, oh, these young people, what are they doing with their lives? And finally, you have someone like Greta who says, hey guys, time to wake up. What we've been doing was wrong. The planet is in trouble. It needs help. And what do grown-ups tell her? Basically, yeah, this child is just seeking the attention. She's not really doing what she's supposed to do. What is she supposed to do? Tell me. There is finally a young person who is a spokesperson for things that are important. No one can say that she's saying the wrong things. No one can even argue about it. So what can you hold against her? They're just saying, I must attack this person who stands up for something we all agree about, but we just don't want to take an action. I'm sure there are people who believe that our Earth is not round. There are even people who say that Australia is not a real place, that actually it's inhabited by actors and whatever. There are people who believe in different things. But I think it's becoming a bit silly to deny that the temperatures are rising at a crazy level, that CO2 levels have been the highest they have been in 650,000 years. Polar ice sheets are disappearing. Sea levels are rising. Lots of species have been endangered. I can of course go on about this. There would have been a real issue if she has contradicted herself. For example, she would start flying, or she wouldn't be true to, I don't know, recycling, or she would just make this planet worse. In a retrospect, it's, for example, she is supposed to sell Coke, but she secretly is drinking Pepsi. I'm sure there were cases with celebrities like that before. But the thing is, what annoys these people so much is I think they can't really find cases like that. They're just criticizing her. But she is the person who is true to her values. And in some interviews, she admitted that she was expecting this kind of negative feedback. The most famous criticism is, okay, what has she actually done? She hasn't done anything. She is not changing the world. She's only criticizing. And instead of criticizing, do something, change the world. And no, she doesn't have to do that. That's the job of the politicians, and that's what she's rightfully pointing at. She's an activist, and as an activist, you are able to raise awareness about a certain subject, which is exactly what she's doing. There have been, of course, other climate activists. Why are we just paying attention to Greta Thunberg? But the truth is, can you name those activists? Unfortunately, you can't, unless you're really in environment and climate change. To the global audience, what matters is the spokesperson, and in my opinion, it didn't have one. And now having Greta is very important, and it's serving it only for the best. I have been posting things about Greta on social media because I find her fascinating. Young women who really change this world. For example, Malala is one of them, and I'm admiring them. And I have received a couple of messages where people said, well, what has she really done? She's only wanting attention. And again, I don't want to go into, Asperger's syndrome, because of course with that syndrome all you want is attention. But I just want to say that it's up to you what you feel about Greta. By no means I'm saying she's a saint person. She's probably just a human like you and me. But I think she has done something really important. She has really raised that awareness, and we should really stop denying that the climate change is happening, because that's generally her message. In an interview I watched to David Attenborough, she has said, I probably have to repeat the same thing, but that's my job until people are able to understand. Why is she hated? I did some readings, and some claim that she's hated because lots of people psychologically don't want to accept that the world is in trouble. A young girl who's talking about it in such a serious way, she's not trying to find the right words, she's just stating facts, she's telling strong things like, you failed us, the world is in trouble, time to wake up. Those words, they're not put in a pretty way, they're not meant to. But that really angers a lot of people, because this really makes them face the problem. It makes them say, yeah, you failed, it's your fault. I think it's also because she's a woman. Because she's a smart young woman, but she's not a very conventional woman. Let's remember Emma Watson's speech, which she made about feminism. Even though she's famously known and she's very softly spoken, she didn't say something groundbreaking. Emma Watson received a lot of hate. Yet people were still like, well, it's Emma Watson, we like her, we respect her. Greta is very different. She's just a girl out of nowhere who comes out, who speaks this, let's call it, ugly truth. And of course that annoys people so much. But also because she is not conventional. She's raw, unedited. She doesn't have to filter her speech. It's easy to attack someone who is 16, 17 than just face the truth. As a woman, you still cannot really speak up. You should speak up only in a framework of being sweet, of not raising your voice. Oh my God, if you're angry, that's like a no-go, that's like a red light, because older men would disapprove it, white privileged men, that the world is still being run by them. They would just say, how dare you are. The same words that Greta used to them, they're just saying, how dare you are to tell us the truth, because we're so knowledgeable, we are the experts, we are their opinion leaders, and we don't want to give away our role to some random girl. And let's not think about that she's actually saying the truth. It is very curious that men can express themselves as strong, as dominant, but when the woman does exactly the same thing, she is considered patronizing, intimidating, she's wearing pants. And I'm thinking, which years do we live in? Do we still live in, 50s, 60s? I'm watching Mad Men series right now, and that's how they treat women. They just tell them not to raise their voices, and women don't really have any choice, or their opinions are not valid. We're not in that time anymore. I think it's time to change and to let women to speak what they want, how they want, and rather than focusing on how someone expresses themselves, to focus on the content. She's been called emotional, hysterical. when you talk about something that is close to your heart, I'm sure we all have those subjects. Isn't it normal to feel those emotions? I'm personally more suspicious of people who just talk about everything with a very flat face. She's been all over media has been attacking her. The price that she paid, she was aware of it, but she was bullied, she was treated horribly. And I think that's such an unfair treatment. And I doubt that any person out there really wants to feel that way, and I'm sure she knew that would be the reaction of the society. But that didn't stop her, because she is a goal-oriented person and her main goal is to really change the climate for the better. So she does a good thing. There was damage done to this world, real damage. I think we all agree about that. I also think that there are ways to fix it, but instead of channeling all your energy into criticizing a young girl who wants to make this world a better place, try to think about the ways to fix it. And I'm sure you can say, well, what can I do? I'm not a politician who can change such things. But I still think it's important to speak up, to support someone like that. And that's how the change is happening. And a lot of people, they've been saying, oh, well, she was pushed by someone, she's just a puppet. And I'm sorry, but who cares? Once again, coming back to the point, who cares if she's emotional, if she delivers the message, she gets her job done? Who cares if someone is behind her, someone mythical? Yeah, of course, let's, support all the conspiracy theories that's out there, because that's gonna help her and the world and the climate change. The point is, people, let's stop hating. Let's really try to do what's in our power. I really admire her principles and her values, and I think it takes a lot of willpower, a lot of guts to change your life just like that for what you believe in, but it also really deserves appreciation and respect. So that was my opinion, and I'm looking forward to your comments, and all the best!